All right, everybody, welcome back. Sam's Army episode 2.271. And we got a lot to talk about this week. We're going to hit hot topics first. Oh, no, Canada. Full-fledged soccer war between France and Argentina. And MLS hollering at NWSL, among other things. Premier League, we're just going to have an open mic session. We're going to see where it goes. The season hasn't really, started, obviously. So we're just going to talk about whatever comes to mind. Then around the world, we got the hit and quit it Minuteman himself, and then maybe some Olympic chatter real quick, and then stoppage time featuring everybody's favorite segment, GOAWs. Now, time to welcome in this week's distinguished panel of beauties. First up, we got Mikey Podcast, Mikey Fowler. In terms of relative hateability, how does Fox's score bugs? Wait, did I ask you this last week?
No, I wasn't on
Okay,
last week.
good. So the relative hateability, Fox's score bug with the yellow cards and whatnot versus NBC's unnecessary dash between the
The
scores.
dash will the dash will always trump whatever you put in this. It makes no sense. The colors break it up, yada yada. I want to use this time to congratulate you on the 6,000th consecutive day of Spurs without a trophy. That is today. So congratulations.
Thank you. You have had a hate boner all week for Tottenham. If people could see our text chat, it's just been nonstop hate thrown at Spurs, which I respect. You're getting back in midseason form early on. I nothing but respect for that, Mikey. I appreciate you for that. We'll get back to the Arsenal and Spurs later, but now we got Tyler Terrans back, I believe, from his MLS All Star Week junket. What was the highlight of the week for you, my friend?
There was a point during the skills challenge broadcast where we made poop jokes for a solid 90 to 120 seconds. So that was fun.
Did you get any feedback from producers or
Oh,
otherwise?
my executive producer was sitting directly to the left of me, crying, laughing while the entire thing was going on. No, it was encouraged above all else. It's a skills challenge broadcast on the radio. I mean, what is there to do other than to make poop jokes? To be fair, I started it off by unintentionally saying during the shooting challenge, and obviously should have realized, given the fact that I was broadcasting with 13-year-olds being Brian Dunseth and Tony Miola. I said, he starts off with a deuce, just trying to get loose, and then it went rampant from there.
That's a good line. That's a good line. And then obviously you can see where
It
things
made
would.
sense contextually too. So like, it's not like I was trying to do it. It just simply he hit it too, and he's trying to just warm up and get his boots going, if you will. But anyway,
You can see how it could devolve quickly from there. All right. Well, let's hit hot topics here. So Canada's systemic spying. This is a topic that comes up every now and again. There was the Marcel Bielsa situation. It's happened here and there. This one with Canada, for some reason, seems to have captured people's imagination, perhaps because of the Olympics. It's like a worldwide event, perhaps because it's Canada, and we think of them as like this, nice country that would never do something like that. But whatever. Oh Canada, oh no Canada. So basically, what happened? What the update here is? The women's team at the Olympics essentially got caught using a drone to spy on New Zealand's practice, and this was a couple days before they were going to play New Zealand in the Olympics. They went on to win, but that's kind of inconsequential. What matters is that the coach, number one, kind of sort of washed her hands of it and said, "Oh, I didn't really know about this." But then it came out that the president of Soccer Canada or Canada Soccer said, "Oh yeah, apparently this is a systemic problem that we've had going back many years." And he basically suggested it was men's and women's. So not only is Bev Treisman, the women's coach, on the hot seat, I don't know if she's officially been fired. She has been sent home from the Olympics. But now there's a lot of talk about John Herdman, who was the coach of the men's team for many, many years, who's now at Toronto FC, and who put out a very carefully worded statement about the whole situation, saying he never did anything at the World Cup or Olympics. But what about all those years in between? Anyway, so question for you, Mikey. Is this a big deal?
Um, I mean, listen, without knowing who does what and how often, I'm gonna say that it's not a big deal. It just feels like I mean, listen, when there's as little effort made to hide something as was done in this case, it doesn't feel like it's as egregious as we'd expect. Like if it's really significant, I feel like they would have gone through more of an effort to hide or mask what they were doing. Um, it feels like a case of we're the ones that are going to get disciplined for this because we did it stupider than the others. But in this case, I just have to think that if they were really doing something crazy, they would have acted a little bit more stealthily.
Fair. That's fair. You know, so I was looking, I put this up as a poll for on Instagram just to get people's thoughts on whether it's important to them. So it was 63% said yes, this is a big deal, which I was actually kind of surprised by. And then I gave three options for why it might not be a big deal. Number one, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, 16%. Number two, everyone is probably doing it, 12%. And it just shouldn't be a big deal in soccer, 10%. So I am part of that last group. I just don't think that spying in soccer is that important. If you lose because somebody cheated and spied on you, you suck at soccer. Plain and simple. Like it's the game is too fluid, too dynamic. There's like, okay, maybe you could see a set play here and there. Maybe you could sort of see their 3-5-2 or whatever they're doing on the lineup structure. If you can't figure that out within 30 seconds of the game started, I mean, you're an idiot and you
Yeah,
suck.
Ancelotti puts his lineup out 5 hours early. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So I am of the mind that yes, Canada probably deserves a bunch of shit because it's so stupid to have done this. Because I don't think you're going to get that much useful information. And the downside risk is this: you're in a whole world of hurt. Tyler, what are your thoughts?
Agreed. Retweet. I don't know exactly how it went down from a timeline perspective, but like the swift admission of the fact that this has been going on for years was kind of caught me off guard. I was like,
crazy move.
Why did you admit that? Like,
Oh, Canada.
It's so ridiculous.
You silly.
I mean, I guess that's like the niceness coming out, right? It's like if you do get caught with your hand in the cookie jar, if you're Canadian, like you just confess to everything. Like, this is not the first cookie I've taken. I've been taking cookies for years, and you just caught me. Like,
so true, so true. America, we would have been far different, far
It's really well
in
put.
our response. But I guess we're sort of all on the same page here. It's interesting. Yeah, but whatever. I guess the fallout will continue. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Herdman, because obviously,
do we think the punishment is too harsh? 6
yes,
points?
absolutely. So they lost 6 points.
Too harsh?
Too harsh for me. It is. They lost 6 points in the Olympics. They got the coach sent home. Like they're essentially out. They're out. They can't.
They're not out because they had already picked up 3 points when the 6 points. So it really was at -3, and then they won late against France and like in a thriller. I forget exactly who they beat, but they won in the final second. So now they just need to win and hope for maybe one result so they can get through. I don't think that the punishment is that harsh. I think it's kind of fair. Yes, I agree that it doesn't really have any effect on the game, but that's not the point. You basically were using, it's not even a loophole. You're basically using advanced technology to a slight 0.0001% of an advantage. You're going to spy on another team's training session using technology and then admitting you've been doing it for if they hadn't admitted that it's been going on for years, it probably might have been only a point or two. But they did.
I just sort of realized why they probably admitted it. It sounds like a lot of people knew that they've been doing. The U.S. Soccer basically said, we know that they've been doing this for years. So maybe they sort of tried to get out ahead of it. That's maybe the more real
and that was during Nations League in 2019 when they beat us. I was like Lucas Cavallini goal, and Christian Pulisic was came off in like the 60th minute. He was crying. I mean, yeah, probably
boo, bad Canada. We want to change those results. Let's talk to CONCACAF about that. All right, moving on. We got a full-fledged soccer war on our hands, boys and girls. Argentina versus France. I don't really, other than the fact they played each other in the finals of the World Cup, I don't really know where this animosity came. Mikey, where does it come from? I mean, I understand. Video. Oh, I know. I know where it came from now. Like, I don't understand why Argentina put that, or Enzo or whoever put that video out, or why they were singing it in the first place. Were they singing it now or were they singing it after the World Cup in 2022?
They just hate France. And I think what it comes down to mainly is France considers themselves an elevated, prestigious world nation of soccer, and Argentina doesn't think anybody in Europe can hang with them. And I think that there's just a little bit of like, if you talk to a Boca Juniors fan, they believe that they're the biggest club football team in the world, and that everybody who talks about anything European doesn't have a good understanding of just how big the South American scope of fandom is. And they believe that they are superior in every way, in their fandom, in their nationality, in their way they play, all this stuff. And now with this golden peak of the like absolute peak of this nation right now, they have the confidence to just start firing. And I think what's happening is France is getting a lot of that just because of the result of the World Cup, and also the fact that, you know, there's some other things that I think we don't really want to get into that France stands for that Argentina may not exactly align with. So, in all senses, I think it's a lot of confidence and bravado in the Argentina national team right now, and it's coming out and manifesting in a way of hatred of France because that's their biggest competitor in their eyes.
Okay, that's an interesting.
They don't put it this way; they wouldn't hate the Spanish the same way.
Right. That's where I sort of lose the plot a little bit. Tyler, what are your thoughts here?
I'm totally with Mikey, and I want him to dig deeper into those subjects that he doesn't want to dig deeper into, because how many times have I been put on the political hot seat?
Right. I knew
Mikey has never asked to be the CNN correspondent.
It's true. It's very true. And the one thing I can say is I think our France plays with a little bit of pace and power that maybe Argentina isn't familiar with.
Jesus, we are really tap dancing around this. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. The just like the hate is so strong from Argentina towards France, and I couldn't even tell at the beginning whether it was reciprocated. But now with the Olympics and stuff,
it's definitely reciprocated. Yeah, I think it's definitely reciprocated.
I think the Enzo Fernandez video and the whole events around that clearly, it was a tipping point.
But don't worry, Moises Caicedo said it's all good.
Oh, yes. Chelsea. We'll probably get into that quickly in the Premier League section. We'll move on here, though. So quickly, MLS, there was sort of news of this for the last couple of weeks. I haven't gotten Tyler's thoughts, and I actually do want to hear your thoughts on this, Tyler. So there's the scuttlebutt that MLS is trying to, or at least open to, buying NWSL. Is this a good thing for NWSL? Is this good for soccer in the US? Like, what are your thoughts here?
100%. Take away whatever preconceived notions our listeners have about MLS and how it's run and everything like that. And obviously I work and I get paid by MLS, but put all that aside for a second. The Women's Super League in England is doing so well. And they're starting to get some of the best American players to come over there and play because they're owned by the same people who own, like, it's Arsenal, it's Chelsea, it's all the same clubs. It's the female version of the Premier League club. And it's the money that's trickling down. I mean, think about it from this standpoint. It's like the money that football and basketball programs bring in a big Division I schools that then trickle down to the soccers, to the field hockeys, to the volleyballs, and the reason why they're able to go and have the nice things that they're able to have, and the female sports included. And if MLS buys NWSL and the teams who have franchises in those respective cities in MLS, it's only going to benefit them from a resource standpoint. So this net, I think, is going to be positive. There's a lot of things that are going to need to be worked out, and there's going to be some nuances that people may or may not see that are going to need to be sort of like hashed out throughout this process. But like above all else, I think it's a good thing.
And it's interesting that it's coming at a time when USL is kind of shooting for NWSL. And there's also, the long-term talk of USL shooting for MLS. I'm sure there's some competitive dynamics at play there. Okay, we'll head on. Premier League times, open mic session. So we still have about 2+ weeks, I believe, till the opening weekend, August 15th and 16th or something like that. But things are happening. We have the Chelsea situation.
Chelsea are in mid-season form. Just say it. They're in mid-season form. Just say it.
Are they?
United certainly are with the injuries.
True. So we have Manchester United in injuries. We have Chelsea off the field, locker room situation.
Lack of culture.
We have Arsenal. I don't know what to say about Arsenal. I wanted to talk some shit, but Calafiore good looking man who's already
Just post the last 7 text messages from our group chat, and that'll do for our Arsenal shit talk today.
That's fair.
He's got his eyes on the prize, or prizes anyway, now that he's newly single. And Tottenham, what can you say about Tottenham other than
Plenty.
just winning trophies? We're a trophy winning team. That's what we do up until mid-August. Then we kind of
I have a big one. I want to start somewhere.
Okay.
The vibe around Manchester City feels exodus-y. I think guys want out. A lot of guys want out.
Does that include Pep?
Well, Pep is gone at the end of this season. That feels inevitable at this point.
Yeah.
Think so?
He's coming to America.
Something's happening at the end of the season, and he will not be with City anymore. This is his last season. And the thing that I'm seeing, and it just feels this way, the Alvarez story is hilarious, by the way. Is there a more football manager thing than wanting to leave because your promises weren't kept up? He wants to go. Ederson's going to Saudi or entertaining it. De Bruyne has been flirting with that for a long time. Just turned down $1 million a week, I think, was the number from Kevin De Bruyne. Something is brewing there, and it feels like what the City fans, and I put that word in air quotes, are pretending existed before this whole thing started is going to rear its head when this next wave is done. So when Pep steps aside, I think there's going to be a lot of what am I doing here anyways feelings from these guys. There's going to be a little bit of a rescinding back into the I don't want to say like middle tier, because I think they're still going to be obviously a top 4 side, and I think that they're going to be competing for titles, but there's this notion that they are this untouchable beast is going to kind of start to go away when Pep goes and people start to realize that there isn't a history or a culture there that's significant enough to stay. That's my thoughts on what's happening.
The only, I couldn't agree more. The only thing that would get the same level of talent into Manchester City is a coach of Pep's caliber, and that just doesn't exist. He said he would never coach in England again. It doesn't.
I just think something's happening there. Yeah, I think something's happening there.
Even if they do fall off and they're still a top 4 side, it's still like a really, really steep fall off from what they are right now. Like, and I think it's going to be even steeper than what you're talking about. Like, I think either Europa League or Conference League in their first year without Pep.
Wow, this is some hate, some true deep.
It's not
seated hate that's coming out.
They're playing for Pep. They're playing for Pep. They're not playing for City.
Listen, I'm all in agreement that Pep is an incredible manager, and I love, we take shots at him here and there. He's an incredible manager, and he's gonna do great things wherever he goes, hopefully for the US somewhere. Anyway, but I think that money can solve a lot of problems, and I'm not convinced that City is gonna, and I know that Manchester United is kind of the poster child of money can't solve all problems, but I don't know.
We will find out within 6 months just how good of a coach Pep was at Manchester City.
You're saying so 18 months from now?
I'm saying, yeah. We will find out within the first 6 months of Pep not being in charge of Manchester City how good of it, because you can never judge exactly how good a coach is until the Brady and the Belichick thing. Like, you can't really judge it. We'll find out very quickly, and I think it's bad news. And I agree with the air quotes comment from Mikey too, which was very subtle yet again.
I think that's where I wanted to go with that. I think that, like, from a neutral perspective, the most interesting thing for me at this point, I know Slot's Liverpool looks good. I think that the Gegenpress thing is still there. I think that's the first Dutch manager they've gotten right in the Premier League in the last few seasons. I think Arsenal doing early business is something that we've gotten used to with Arteta, right? I think that they are not leaving it as late as they used to. Spurs not having any defenders in the entire 11 every week is something we're going to have to
Villa's going to be good again.
Villa's going young as well. Just to keep blowing through them. They're like Chelsea. Chelsea's hilarious, man.
And Cuckoo played 90 minutes though, so there's that.
Yeah, what are we doing there?
He hasn't played 90 minutes since like the Obama administration.
Hold on. With Chelsea, the team is in, I don't want to say, upheaval, but like they just lost their coach. Pochettino's out. They have a new manager. They've got sort of this team that just got put together. It feels like 12 months ago.
Every year, dude.
Right, and it feels like that every year. Like, and then you add in this layer of Enzo and his
Maresca,
racially
That Enzo.
Yes, that Enzo. Is Chelsea like a big six threat this year, or do you think there's just too much shit and too many changes and whatever else, and they're more
as much of a threat. They're as much of a threat as West Ham are.
Shots fired. Shots fired. Okay.
And I just want to say one more thing.
Larry Nance, bring your ass. Bring your ass, Larry Nance. Why haven't I seen him in a year and a half?
He's on Team Leeds, and we got to get Leeds into the Premier League. That's what.
Oh, that's right. I forgot
Leeds,
about that. Him,
that's
TJ,
Larry and TJ.
All those guys sold their souls. Yeah, sorry about that. I forgot.
And Archie looks like quite the player. Obviously, we all knew that, Sam. But I'm glad that Ange has decided his best position is center back. That's going to be something that I hope sticks.
And listen, championships are not won on defense. Defense doesn't win championships. I already told you this. Arsenal already proved it last season. Arsenal defense does not win championships. We're just going to outscore people. That's the plan. We're going to win every game like 7-5. That's the hope.
Congratulations.
What about at the bottom? Any thoughts on the Ipswich Towns or the Leicesters or the the newbies of the season?
I'm just waiting for one of them to bring on Scott McTominay. I think he's going to thrive at a lower club this season. No, I have no thoughts until I see how this all shakes out. I don't.
Agreed.
There's our open mic session. We kept it nice and short. Tyler's got to go. Where are you going, by the way? Are you flying?
Take one guess. Where do you think I'm going?
Columbus, Minnesota. Yeah, Minnesota.
You know how many times I've been to Minnesota? You know how many times I've been to Minnesota this year?
4.
13.
That's crazy.
I will end up having done close to half of their games this year. I have replaced Callum Williams as the voice of the Loons officially. Suck it, Cal.
Sam, I have something to say. Okay. If anybody's in Philadelphia and has a ticket they want to give me to the Arsenal game, I'm more than willing to go as your +1.
He said it before we started taping. He only goes to games for free these days. So if anybody wants to go to the Arsenal game, what is it? Wednesday. Arsenal game. If you got an extra ticket, Mikey will take it.
The asks from this pod recently have been amazing. It's like, hey, we need an intern to come do a bunch of like our tedious bullshit for free, and also can you give Mikey a ticket?
It's called an interview, okay?
True.
We're making up for the fact that we can't make any money, or we don't. Well, I can't make us any money by looking for other ways of revenues. I don't know.
If you can't monetize me calling Argentinians subtly racist, then I don't know what to tell you.
I will say I didn't comment on it at the time, but the way you wove those into your little diatribe there, it was well done.
Well, they're forbidden words, and I only learned that through my friends.
Base and power. That was nice. That was nice. Very subtle. Not really. All right, let's go on. Round the world time, where we will start with the Minuteman himself, Tyler Terrence. What we're in this kind of weird period where we had MLS, now we got Leagues Cup. So just sort of give us the lay of the land on what's what.
So we had the big rule change, which is like the U22 designated player model, which is either or. So you can have 3 designated players and 3 U22s, or you can have 2 designated players and 4 U22s. And the U22 players, those are the guys who you can have for up to $625,000 and pay them up to that, but only like around 200 of that counts against your cap. In addition to an extra $2 million of like GAM, which is just funny money, which is like extra salary cap money. So you can choose either one of those 2 things. That was like the big news coming in around All-Star Week. And obviously Leagues Cup is going on right now. Group stage, there's still some MLS teams playing against each other. And like I had one of those games like St. Louis City and Dallas, but it's more fun when the MLS and Liga MX player teams are playing against each other, like Chivas and San Jose in front of like 50,000 at Stanford Stadium, which was really cool. And then, the big teams like Club America and Columbus Crew get the automatic buys into the round of 32, and they bypass the group stage because of the fact that they won their respective leagues a year ago. Club America doing the double in both the Apertura and the Clausura, winning the regular season and the playoffs. I mean, in the East right now in MLS, Inter Miami is actually doing a phenomenal job, despite the fact that they've had Messi for 12 games this year, and Suarez has missed a bunch due to injury and international duty. Getting really good performances from guys like Yannick Bright at the University of New Hampshire, Julian Gressel, Matias Rojas. And then Diego Gomez is probably going to get sold to Brighton for close to 15 million sooner rather than later. So they've done a really good job, and their supporter shield winner leaders in the clubhouse right now. I think they're up by 5 points in the supporter shield standings. And then both LA teams have been really good as of late. And Real Salt Lake continues to be up there towards the top of the Western Conference. Cincinnati have lost 3 in a row. Columbus took a couple of stumbles heading into the All-Star / Leagues Cup break, but then they dismantled Villa 4-1, and a first half hat trick from Cucho. So there's a lot going on, but like also not really anything going on in the Leagues Cup thing. In my opinion, it really starts to get exciting, obviously, as we get into the knockout rounds. And, everybody remembers Messi's run and the whole thing. But there were some really good games last year, like Nashville and Club America, getting closer to the final and everything like that. So there's stuff going on. There's transfers. A lot of them are not eligible to play yet. Like Minnesota's bringing in a couple of players. I don't know why I'm talking about Minnesota. I talk about them enough. I'm just going to stop talking now.
Well done. Well done. You got us caught up on what's what. It's a weird time. Like the club, the league schedule is essentially on hiatus now for a few weeks. We got this new competition, and it's early on, so it's like it doesn't really feel, too.
Although I will say the players that I talk to, they love the money in their account the day after a win, because they get money for playing in each game, obviously. But then if you get a win, you get like 3 or 4 grand.
Bonus. The win bonus, and it's a big win bonus.
Yeah, they like it. They like it a lot. So, I mean, you don't really need any more incentive for a professional athlete than to say, if you win games, we will give you more money, and it hits your account the following morning. So that's fun.
I remember talking to some of the guys last week or last year.
They know that they like it. It makes me more excited about it.
And it's why I think it was, Timmy Parker or Alex Bono. They were saying like the guys, like the players themselves. I know like fans who kind of have this, hot and cold thoughts on Leagues Cup. The players themselves are like, wow. I mean, this money is big, so it means something. It matters, and I think at least last year you could really tell in the play that the guys were out there trying to win, and I assume the same will be true this year. I guess we'll remains to be seen. Okay, there we go. Thank you, Mr. Minuteman. We will hit up quickly the Olympics. So the men's and women's are well underway. The group stages. The women have. They just beat Germany in very impressive fashion. Actually, I think it was 4-1, and this is a Germany team that they've been sort of near the upper crust of the Englands and the Frances and Brazils and U.S. Of the world. That was an impressive win. And on the men's side, we now have we had lost to France in the first game 3-0. That game had no business being 3-0. That easily could have been a draw. Team played really well in that game. And then we spanked New Zealand. The team looks pretty decent. I mean, this team on the men's side, and we know the women's are a threat to medal every time. On the men's side, I think this team looks a legitimate threat to medal in this tournament. So I guess we'll see how it goes. I mean, there's a lot of guys have just sort of looked good in this tournament. Paxton Aronson is everywhere down the side.
Paxton Aronson.
He is. I mean, he's the quintessential Aronson. The guy is he does not stop moving. Other players that Busio has been great. Tanner Tessman.
Tessman as a single pivot is pretty impressive.
He is, and he's got sort of this large stature, which you don't get out of a lot of soccer players. That he could be
he's going to start every week in Serie A this year,
and he's going to be he'll be on that USMNT 2026 team for sure.
Definitely.
So
he should probably be in it in a more significant way than we're talking about
in the mix. Well, he might use this as sort of the springboard to get into the mix. He
has a certain level of physicality that Adams can't provide, and if you want to move Adams into that 8 role, you're going to need somebody to sit in that 6, and we don't really have anybody that's significant enough to do that at this point.
I mean, obviously Johnny will have something to say about that, but yeah, I mean, it's good to have competition. This is like what we've been talking about for the men's national team for too long. Maybe they're feeling a little too comfortable. They need new guys coming through like the Testmans of the world to really sort of threaten their position and light a fire under their ass. So good on not just Testman. The whole team has actually looked really, really good, and hopefully we keep that up. We play Guinea on Tuesday, and a win. Obviously, we're through. Draw, I think we'd be through, but obviously some things would need to happen. A loss would be problematic. So we'll see how that goes. All right, GOAWs time. stoppage time. We will end this, put a little bow on the episode as always. We're going to skip Ivan Toney's best bets because, we don't have official games. I actually could throw out plenty of overs from, Norway and Sweden and Iceland and Bolivia and Peru. But I'm going to hold off. We'll wait till the regular season before getting back to that. Go is time. Mikey, do you want me to go or do you want to lead us off here?
I think you should go first.
Okay. So I'm going to give a couple honorable mentions. I hope I don't take yours, but my honorable mentions here, I got to give a shout out, and this is a negative one, to Manchester City and the business with Savio, because we were talking about it all last season, how Trois, signed him. He was their marquee signing for the season. I don't even think he played a single minute for the Trois team in France. They got relegated, and now Savio,
he was great for Girona,
and he was playing great for Girona, and now he got called up to the A team in Manchester City. That is some nasty, dirty business that Manchester City just pulled on that one, and Trois fans should be absolutely livid, as I'm sure they are. Another shout out to this is another bad one, Bordeaux. So a team with tons of history, in the French league, they just up and ceased operations. Like we're done. Like we're
awful stuff.
Like just terrible stuff. I don't know if there's some way to like come back from that, or like, I don't understand like bankruptcy law is in France. I don't understand in the US, let alone France, if there's some way that they can sort of come back from this. But man, that is just, again, nasty business by front owner, front office management, whatever, mismanagement. And that sucks. It's just terrible to see. You could sort of go off on a tangent about promotion and relegation. Perhaps this is sort of the unspoken other side of the coin from promotion, but whatever. Anyway, quick one last honorable mention: 14-year-olds taking over American professional soccer. We got Philadelphia Union's Kevin Sullivan, who we talked about on the last episode, and now we got Gotham FC's McKenna Witham. So like 14-year-olds, and I think McKenna is actually younger than Kevin, so she officially is like the youngest professional player ever. Wow. I mean, 14-year-olds playing professional soccer is impressive. Obviously there's the concern about, somebody so young and, getting burnt out. Are they doing this because their parents are forcing them, all that stuff? But whatever, you got to be insanely talented to be playing professional soccer at 14 years old. So shout out to them. My actual go this week goes to John Duran for Aston Villa. I think he's still an Aston Villa player at the moment.
He's a great player. Formerly
of Chicago Fire, by the way. So he went on, I don't know if it was Instagram Live, TikTok. I can't even follow Snapchat. I have no idea what the difference is, like what these different platforms, how it looks. But he went streaming live, and he's been pushing for a move. It's been rumored all over the place. He's been pushing for a bit, like 40 million.
Bigger than it should be.
Jesus, that's 40 million pounds. So obviously higher than that in the US.
50, 60.
Yeah. So he's been rumored to be pushing for a move from West Ham to, or not to West Ham from Aston Villa. And, whether it goes through, I don't know. We'll see. He's a young guy. Obviously, I think he may look back on this as maybe a mistake, but he went on Insta or whatever the streaming platform and did like an irons, symbol, like for West Ham. And dude, I mean, like, I get it. It's funny and like all that, but like, if this deal doesn't go through, you are mega fucked, my friend. Like, you can't go back. Like, that's the end. Your sort of connection with Aston Villa, you are already persona non grata. If this deal doesn't go through and you got to be persona non grata sitting the bench and living in Birmingham for the next 6 months at a minimum, that's tough. That's a tough spot. So I guess I hope the deal goes through. And his villain status is already cemented, win, lose, or draw, no matter how this goes. And I guess we need heroes, we need villains. So from a content standpoint, shout out to John Duran. But yeah, his PR people, they got to be having a bad day at the moment. So John Duran, you're my go this week. Mikey, what do you got for us?
I got two. One, let's start with the Premier League. I think that they have an opportunity to do something pretty cool here. The Britain Gaming Commission has called for them to not allow gambling sponsors on the front of kits. Be a significant change, and if the US is any indication, it's physically impossible because the people and the powers that be are propelled by the funds that they are
That's where
willing
the
to
money
acquire.
is. That's where the
Yes,
money is.
I understand that, but I do want to make a call to them to if I mean, there's a chance, right? There's always a chance when something like this gets floated. So I want to make sure that I use my platform and my soapbox to speak up on behalf of this.
It has happened before, right? With like cigarettes and with, I think, liquor. They've cut down on that sort of thing. So, you know, it's not impossible, but it does seem unlikely.
Yeah, let's keep it to the ethical world of seedy airlines and Dubai funds.
Right. How you draw these lines between,
I know
yeah,
it's
that's
arbitrary.
no good, but this is okay. That's good.
Yeah, that's the difficult part of this whole thing, right? But I think gambling is something that should be. I mean, listen, it'd be hard to enforce, but there's a chance. I want to put that out there. And second, this is going to be a little off-beaten, but every day I read something about Manchester United's back line, and I read something about Lenny Oro, or I read something about Lissandro, and how they're one injury away. I just want to shout out Johnny Evans as my go up because everybody uses him as a punchline, but I think he should be used more of a poster child for just keep getting them checks as long as humanly possible. I don't think I've given the proper respect to the fact that Johnny Evans is this like his teammates are well into the his first teammates are well into the podcasting world, and he's still one option away at United. So I just think that if I'm going to stand for all the things that I claim to stand for, I have to give a shout out to Johnny Evans for still being the next man up on a Manchester United team that claims to take itself seriously. So I think that that's worth a shout out this week in a downtime. It's a good time to burn it on this one.
That's fair. You know, he is 5 years older than Rafael Varane.
And Varane just retired to Cuomo.
Good place to retire to. But yeah,
I'm very happy for Johnny Evans, and I think it's been a long time since somebody used him in a positive light. So I just want to shout out the fact that this is a thing that he's still able to do. He's not bad.
I'm glad that you brought him up in a positive light. I don't I would never do it. I still hate him from the Stuart Holden situation. Like
I should hate him too, obviously.
I will always hate him for that. But yeah, I think this is the first time anybody's talked about Johnny Evans in a positive light on this.
I think he deserved it. 36 years old, in a time when we're celebrating LeBron James. Why is Johnny Evans not being celebrated?
Why is he not like the flag bearer for Northern
Little
Ireland?
Johnny should be coming into the Prem any minute now.
Does he have kids?
I don't know. He's probably holding on just long enough to get to play with one if he is. Lissandro, right? He's a little boy.
Jesus. Oh, you, Mikey.
Well, that's my go at Johnny Evans.
All right. That was a good shout. It was a good shout. And that's all we got. Thank you, Mikey, as always. Thank you, Tyler. Mitch and Tommy will be back soon enough. And that's all we got for this week. We'll be back. You know, as the season starts to ramp up here, we will get back into the swing of things. But thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll be back bigger, better, faster, stronger. And as I've said, changes are afoot. We will implement them before too long. But at the moment, thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next week. Cheers.